Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Breaking right now, the U.S. launches 3 airstrikes on nuclear sites in Iran, escalating the tensions in the Middle East. A human rights group is now reporting Israeli strikes have killed at least 865 people and wounded nearly 4,000 people in Iran. Good evening, I'm Sandra Endo, in for Susan Hirasuna tonight. During his brief speech, President Trump declared the U.S. military action a success. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth stood by him. The president first announcing the strikes on Truth Social this afternoon, calling them very successful. Before his announcement, Iran warned U.S. military involvement would be, quote, very, very dangerous for everyone. Take a look at this map. Early this morning, American stealth bombers carried out the attacks targeting nuclear facilities in Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan, aiming to cripple Iran's nuclear program there. And this comes amid a week-long war between Israel and Iran. Let's bring in Johanna Mosca from the Director of Press Advance for the Obama administration. She is on the phone joining us tonight. Good evening, Johanna.
It's great to join you.
Now, what do you make of this recent U.S. military action? What will this do now, from your perspective, in the conflict between Israel and Iran?
Well, President Trump tonight was fairly brief, which is unusual for him. Obviously, you know, he normally has more to say, but he is trying to get Iran to, come to the table and negotiate, he says. Of course, you know, he may have a different wish than they have. This week is a pretty important week diplomatically. Of course, last week he left the G7 early. This coming week, he's supposed to go to the NATO summit in The Hague, where he would meet with all the NATO leaders and, of course, talk about peace and security around the world. He still, of course, wants an end to the war with Russia and Ukraine, and has not gotten that. He comes to the table certainly with a significant strike that was successful. By all accounts, it hit the targets that it was intending to, but no one knows what's going to happen next. And I think that's the real question. You know, there's a lot of concern, including domestically, including from a lot of Democrats and a lot of MAGA Republicans, on whether the president should have involved the United States and should have taken this unilateral action.
That's right. There's a lot of reaction coming out already, as you can imagine. And the big question, as you mentioned, is what happens next in terms of retaliation? Iran is saying the U.S. must pay the consequences. What do you see happening?
Well, Iran is significantly weakened. Obviously, President Obama was dealing with a different circumstance with Iran at the time, but I remember traveling to Israel with President Obama, meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, and Bibi Netanyahu has always wanted a more weakened Iran. After October 7th, he has done everything he can to both weaken Iran and all of the Hezbollah, Hamas, all of its affiliate groups, and they have. It is to an unprecedented level that Mossad has the cooperation of some of the former officials from Iran. So it is very difficult to predict now how strong Iran is.
That's right. That is the big question, and we'll see what happens there. Thank you so much, Johanna, for your time this evening. And of course, we will keep everyone up to date with the very latest as things play out in that arena. And just a few hours ago, Gavin Newsom releasing a statement on X, reading in part, quote, following the president's action in Iran, California's State Threat Assessment Center is actively monitoring for any potential impacts here in California. While there are no specific or credible counter threats we're aware of at this time, we urge everyone to stay vigilant and report suspicious activity. Mayor Karen Bass also releasing a statement. She says in part, quote, following the bombings in Iran, Los Angeles is closely monitoring for any threats to public safety. There are no known credible threats at this time, and out of an abundance of caution, LAPD is stepping up patrols near places of worship, community gathering spaces, and other sensitive sites. Meantime, more protests tonight pushing back against the Israel-Iran conflict and immigration raids happening here in Southern California. Sky Fox flying over Pershing Square in downtown LA this afternoon. This was the site. You can see a pretty large crowd gathering there through the city, marching, chanting, holding up flags and signs, calling for an end to the conflict.